Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Shirt, man! All right! Episode 271 of Shirt Show! We're talking with Juan from Squeegee Prints in California! Let's go!
Hey guys, if you're new here, my name is Dylan. I am the owner of Upstate Merch and the host of the Shirt Show podcast. My guest today was Juan from Squeegee Prints. We had him on forever ago. I don't even know what episode it was now, but amazing dude. Love what he does at Squeegee Prints. If you don't follow him on Instagram, you should. Prints amazing stuff. Just a dude who loves the craft, loves life and printing and skateboarding and playing music. If you can, check out his band as well. They're awesome. But we got really kind of deep and personal today, which was kind of refreshing and nice. And we got vulnerable about, how business is and how to be that friend / business owner at the same time. So it was kind of a little bit different episode than normal, but it was good. It was, you're going to witness a therapy session, I feel like, but a good one. If you enjoy episodes like this and you want to support the show, the best thing you could possibly do is to share and tell your friends about the episode. Share it on Instagram stories. We tag us. We'll reshare it. Like and subscribe on YouTube makes a huge difference. Leave us a comment. Tell me what you thought about this episode. It just helps us so much. You don't understand. So if you could just take that extra second, like right now, like I'll wait, just hit the button, like it, share it, screenshot it, do what you can. That would be awesome. Also, if you like the show, you can dive deeper by signing up for our newsletter. I personally write these every week. So you will get one in your inbox every week. It is going to be a little bit about myself and about the shop and what's going on, but it's also going to talk about the episode that I did last, how I feel about it. It's going to give you a Cliff Notes version of what the episode was about, so you can kind of write those down if you want to. John McGee's in there now giving a tech tip, which is really cool and in-depth. Also, I have shop hacks, I have memes, I have other industry news. We're adding things every week, so it's going to change over time. So it's really sweet. So if you want to sign up for that, go to shirtshowofficial.com/newsletter and hang out with us. It'd be cool. Also, speaking of hanging out, if you want to join a community of like-minded screen printers where there's no bullshit, no one's going to judge you about anything. It is policed and will, be a great place for you to learn. Go to shirtshowofficial.com/discord, totally free. Sign up. You can download the app on your phone or you can do it on your desktop and just hang out with other printers, make friends, talk to people, learn things, share ideas. It's a great place. The show would not be possible without our amazing partners. Frank. It all starts with a screen. Whether it's new stretches or restretches, Frank and his team do it the best. To find out more, go to graphicscreenfashion.com, greatfuckingscreens.com, or fffrank.com. Got to have a wonderful phone call with Frank today. I love the man. We are brothers from another mother. Literally one of the greatest humans on the planet. I love talking to Frank. But also he makes the best fucking screens on the planet. That's why his website is greatfuckingscreens.com. So if you want to have the best prints, you want to have the best tools in your shop, and it all starts with a screen is a real thing, go to graphicscreenfashion.com or hit up Frank. You won't regret it. I promise. Cleaning screens is no fun, but EasyWay makes it way more funner. Their line of eco-friendly chemicals and equipment make reclaiming screens a whole lot easier. Right now is a great time to check them out because they have a new monthly giveaway where you have the chance to win $250 in product credit. Head over to easyway.com/giveaway to enter today. EasyWay, it's the easiest way. Graphics is your source for production-ready digital art and remote art staffing. They can help any size shop from just starting out to enterprise level. Looking to add a hero to your art department? Check them out at graphxsource.com. SNS is your premier partner in the apparel industry. With one website, one purchase order, 14 distribution centers, and over 100 beloved brands, you can streamline your ordering and hit free freight faster than ever. SNS has 1 to 2 day shipping with the lowest error rate in the industry. Be sure to order your blanks from ssactivewear.com. Today's episode is brought to you by American Apparel, makers of the iconic 2001. Soft, fitted, and always in style, this shirt has been the go-to for brands, bands, and print shops for decades. If you want a shirt people actually want to wear, start with the iconic 2001. For over 90 years, Stahls has been a leading choice among apparel decorators for their heat transfer materials, heat press equipment, and custom transfer services. Not only do they offer some of the best products, but they are always looking to innovate and educate in our industry on all things heat press. Head over to stahls.com to order your transfers and check them out on YouTube to be taught a thing or two. Ryonet has been that solid go-to resource for screen printers forever. You know how many printers have learned how to screen print from Ryonet's YouTube videos or from Ryan Moore? That's why I wanted to partner with Ryonet. They're a great group of people. They're education focused, and that's what this show is too. We're just trying to get out any kind of information I can to printers to help their lives and make it a little bit easier. Not only are their supplies super reliable, but their network of education and support is next level. Whether you're figuring things out or fine-tuning your process, they've got your back. Check them out at screenprinting.com. Again, I super appreciate all of you. If you can just take a second and like, comment, whatever, that would honestly mean the world to me. Or if you just want to shoot the shit and tell me how this episode helped you or didn't help you, or if there's anything you want to see in the future, send me a DM on Instagram, Shirt Show Official. I'd like to hear from you guys. I appreciate you. Enjoy the episode. Thank you.
Hey, what's up, dude?
How are you, man?
Shit.
You got the fucking coolest microphone I've ever seen in the world.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, it's my new little toy.
Where'd you get that thing?
This is a microphone by a company called Ear Trumpet Labs, and it's really just for music. But when I had to figure out what I needed for the podcast, I was like, I think this will work. So
yeah, it'll work
cool.
Perfect.
Cool.
How is things, man? We had you on here forever ago. I'm sure some stuff has changed, but I mean, the one thing that I love about your shop, just from a follower from afar, is just like you just keep doing the rad shit that you're doing. Like you're not, I don't know how to say this in not a negative sounding way, but like you're just like, this is the customer base I have. This is the shit I want to print, and you just focus on like doing really awesome quality for those people, and you're not like following a trend or doing this thing or like trying to grow it in this way. You're just like, I'm already on a path of what I want to do.
Yep. Thank you so much for that, man. I appreciate it. I was going to tell you, I feel like as we get older and we get more seasoned in the business, we start kind of putting the bullshit aside and saying like, you know, we're not just going to do these 7-color sleeve jobs forever. You know, you got to kind of start figuring out what works good for you and your business, and for your mental health too, you know, because that's important.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of, again, like the main thing that I thought about with talking to you is just like, you seem to have it figured out to a degree of like the work life thing that you want to do. Like, again, like I meant what I said about Squeegee Prints in a like full on compliment of you're just doing really good quality stuff, doing water-based printing. You're always posting some really cool project you're working on, but it's just like, you're happy doing that. And then the next post is like you skateboarding, or the next post is you like playing music out or something. And it's just like, fucking Juan's got it figured out. And like, I need to hear his like secret sauce to this way of life. So I'm hoping you can spill some of that a little bit.
Yeah, of course. The work-life balance is it's pretty much crucial to one's like happiness and the longevity of how long they're going to be doing something, you know?
Yeah.
Because if you're miserable, you're not going to be doing it for too long, you know?
Yeah.
And I know I appreciate all the compliments and everything, but we're still learning as we go, you know, like the road of learning never ends. It's kind of like the never ending journey. And it's kind of the beautiful part too about screen printing, where it's like, okay, well, if we had it all figured out, then it probably wouldn't be as fun and everyone would be doing it, you know?
Well, I mean, again, we had your story before when we had you on forever ago. Like you were one of the earlier episodes. But like, what does that look like for you? Like in reality, like when you started to now, like how long in do you feel like you got to where you're like pretty comfortable? Was it just like when you got the auto and then from then on? I know there's a lot more to it. Like there's more than meets the eye, but like when did you get to a point where you're just like, I'm pretty happy with just being this size, doing it this way, having X employee, whatever? Like what was that growth like from when you started till now, I guess?
In the very beginning, obviously we have all these dreams of like, oh, this is how I want my place to be. This is how big I want to grow. I had all these like dreams, and I think the number one thing that has changed the most is like right now, I kind of view the shop in like a certain way that's like, I don't necessarily need a 10 exit to be happy. I actually want to sustain like my margin, profitability, and kind of my happiness by not spreading myself so thin and trying to scale my business in a way that's like not realistic, And so in the very beginning, I was like, oh, I need 4 autos, 2 giant dryers, this many people on each section. And, I had these ideas. And as I got older, I just started realizing that was kind of nonsense. And I didn't need to grow like 10x and go crazy, like the more I think about it, it's the opposite. Like I want something small that is going to give me a lot and that doesn't need an endless amount of attention or something,
Yeah. And I think that's the hard thing about, especially for me, is like doing a podcast or something like this, is like, I really try not to be biased in any way. And I try not to like push out any kind of agenda, but it's hard, like speaking about myself or speaking about the shop or something without projecting my own thoughts and feelings in life and whatever. And like, I'm in such a weird spot right now where I feel like I'm at this like growth point in my life of like, what is it that I really want to do with the shop or whatever? Like I keep saying, like you, like in the beginning, I was like, all right, well, I want to grow it to this point. I want to get this stuff. And I've talked on the show a bunch of times about how like I have my ideal shop now. Like I have the 3 autos, I have the employees I want, I have this and that, but it's like, what do I want to do with that? You know what I mean? Like, do I just grow the client base and produce what I can, what I have? Or do I look at the client base and be like, do I really want to work with these types of people? Or do I really want to whatever? And it's kind of confusing. And then it's also like, I have this whole other part of my life with like Shirt Show and, making sure it's fun. Like, I really don't, it's weird talking about it, but like, I sit here and I record with you for however long it is. And I'm shooting the shit with Juan, my friend, and we're just talking, whatever. But then also there's like Chad does the editing. And then after that, it's like tomorrow I'm going to write a newsletter. And then the day after that, it's like we're posting this. And it's like, I'm working on that stuff. And then I'm also working on the shop. And then I'm also working on like personal life stuff. And then I'm also a dad. And it's like, I'm also like, I bought land on the lake where I want to build a house. And it's like, there's all these fucking projects. Like every single one of those is like a learning path or a something to like grow you in some way. And it's like, I'm tired of being stretched. I feel like with every single one of them, there's this thing of like, I have to like learn this or stretch this or do this or whatever. And it's like, I just want to chill. And that's why like I'm talking to you today and I'm like, again, from the outside looking in, I'm like, Juan's got to fucking figure it out, dude. Like he's skateboarding in here. He's working at the shop. He's doing this and then he's playing music and this and this. I'm like, he seems so chill. I'm like, I need to suck some of your energy and just be like, what, like, do I back off of certain things or do I drop this or do I delegate this? Because I feel like when I delegate shit, I'm like giving up something that I shouldn't be giving up. And then I look at it later and I'm like, oh, I really wish I had a hand in that. And I just don't know. I don't know what to do. I'm just in this like weird spot.
Yeah. I was in a weird spot like not too long ago, less than a year ago. And I know earlier you were kind of mentioning like, how long did it take for you to kind of like get it figured out? And
well, figured out is like a super loose term of like, you know, like more so on the right track than not. Because there's never like figured out. It's like when a band says I've made it or something. It's like, that's not real. Like it's like I'm on the trajectory that I want to be at this point, which I feel like I kind of am with the shop and stuff. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm on the right path. I just feel like there's a whole life that we lived of, oh, we got to grind this or build this or do this. And now I'm at that point where I'm almost 40, where I'm like, do I want to do that for the rest of time? Or do I want to have it where like, hey, this thing runs and it does what it's supposed to do and I can kind of chill the fuck out for a little while?
Yeah. I think the trick to being happy is like finding the middle ground between the two, you know? Obviously, you know, life is balance. And, you know, if you're working way too hard and you're not, you know, doing the things you want to do, you're going to be miserable at one point or another. You know, you're going to burn out. And then fucking around and, you know, playing music too much is not going to be good for the shop. You know,
you're not going to be printing enough shirts. Yeah,
exactly. And just figuring how to balance all that. I know it's difficult, but I personally felt like I wasn't able to even figure that out until like 5 months ago.
What was that experience? If you want to share any of it, like how did you work through that? I guess to kind of like just explain everything, I'll just tell you like the story from the beginning, which was probably like roughly, I want to say like 10 months ago. Squeegee Prints kind of got to this like point where it was the end of Q3 and we're doing our numbers, you know, how we always do. But I was kind of reviewing the numbers and I was like, there's something that's not right. Like the numbers are not right. We're basically losing money. Like what's happening? And so, you know, you have to do this kind of analysis of your numbers and everything. And what I came to find was just that I was not running the shop right. And just from the office to the production to the dark rooms to everything, every aspect of the shop, I was kind of like, there was pitfalls everywhere. And it's really tough because, you know, we were busting our asses the whole year and like we all got paid. There was jobs. It's just that like there wasn't a lot left after that.
Exactly. Like the shop was belly flopping at the end. And I was just like, this is not sustainable. Like whatever we're doing right now, we're like not in the right trajectory pretty much. It's like, we're going to drive this thing into the ground with due time.
Yeah.
And so
how do you look at those numbers and then realize what the pitfalls are? Like, did you just think that I've got to be spending too much here or there or wasting time here or there?
That's what it was. At first it was like, you know, the numbers in the office are wrong. And then later it would be like, wait a second, like our production numbers are wrong. But it's a combination of everything. And once we figured it out, we pretty much had to graph all the numbers in our shop and really just from like pretty much like ink per project, how much emulsion are you using, imaging times, the setup times, the cleanup, how long everything takes to clean up, like all these little factors, you know, we were like not necessarily thinking about right away. And when we were quoting jobs, we'd say like, oh yeah, this job will take us 2 hours and we'll be done. Yeah, right. It would actually took maybe more like 4, but we weren't taking everything into accountability.
The other hard part about that though too is that when you have like more lax or chill shops like ours, we're like, oh, it's okay. Like, let's just take 4 hours to get it done, or let's do this. But like, we don't really think about number crunching when we're doing that. We're just thinking about, all right, cool, let's just do this. Or like at my shop, it's like, all right, let's figure this out, but let's go like shoot some hoops first and then like come back in and like do this or this other thing. And then it's like, there's no way we're doing math on like, okay, well, we have time for basketball. You know what I mean? Or we have time for this or that. It's like, we're just doing what we're doing. And at the end, I'm kind of like just hoping it works out.
Yep. And I had kind of been running my shop like that for a really long time, but I just felt like it was like crunch time. I was like, I have to figure out the numbers. Like, I had kind of been putting it off for so long, or I thought I had an idea, but what I was coming to realize is that I had no idea, and I had to kind of like figure it all out. I was like, I got to get these numbers together. So, I want to give a shout out to my cousin Brandon, because he's my office guy, and he's the one that was really like, we have to create a calculator for the shop so we know all the numbers, and also so we can retain our margin throughout different projects without it like sliding like a scale. Like, sometimes maybe we make 30, but psych, other times maybe we make like 8. It's like, that's dumb.
Maybe really a little more consistency. Yeah.
Exactly. And so we were like, we need to kind of get control of pretty much all of the numbers.
Well, now that you tease me with all that, like how do you go about doing that? Like, how would someone listening that feels the same thing of like, I'm just wasting time and money and I don't know what I'm doing, like, how do you go about figuring all those things out or tracking them?
Takes so long, man.
It's the exhale before you say it that really like locks it in for me.
Yeah. Well, you already know it wasn't like, oh, we're going to figure this out in a day or in a week.
Oh, no, I know it takes time, but I'm just saying, like, what is it that you actually did? Did you just like pen and paper start tracking jobs of like getting averages over months of like, okay, this takes this time and so on? Is it just that with every department and then you do the math afterwards?
Exactly. That's exactly what we did. So it'd be like, how long does it take to image a screen? Well, I didn't know that back in the day. Now I know it takes 1 minute for me to coat every screen. So I know, hey, now, 25 to 30 minutes, we could have a full rack coated, and then how long does it take to image a screen? For me, it's different. I have a CTS. So, it's like a minute a screen. You have a LTS, so I'm jealous.
Yeah.
But
you need one,
dude.
You would like it.
Yeah, I know. I always think about, oh, I'm gonna sell this thing and get an LTS, but it's hard. I gotta work with what I got.
It's one of those things. Like, if you're just pumping out jobs, whatever you got's totally fine. And I know there's nothing wrong with, like, there's people that are using film that are printing amazing things. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying, for a print nerd who loves like quality and diving into things, the laser's pretty fucking sweet because you're getting that perfect dot. You can do a little bit more crazy things than you could before. So that's a whole nother tangent. But regardless, like, I guess, what do you do with that information though? Like, it's cool to have all these numbers and know how long, like, it takes me a minute to burn a screen, but like, what do you do with those to put those in place to make sure you're not losing money?
Well, I guess what's really important, what we can do with that data, is that you can create a standard of like, oh, hey, like I was saying, it takes like us a minute to emulsify every screen. So if there's somebody along the line, like maybe next month or next week, whatever, that's coding screens and it's taking them double the amount of time, then there's something's off already, Mm-hmm. And this is kind of a way for you to start building out your systems of operations and keeping a standard in place. So nobody is kind of falling behind. And if they are, the systems of operation will bring them back, or they or get trained out, and you'll get somebody else that can do the job. You know?
You just need to be more of a strict boss, I think, at that point, if you're going to have those standards and keep those standards.
Yep. And that was part of my journey too. You know, like I had to realize that, hey, I'm being a really great friend, but I'm being a really dumb boss.
Shit boss.
Yeah. And so like that was my thing too. You know, I had to learn how to delegate. I had to learn everything back to square one so I could say, hey, like now I'm going to run the shop like this. Cause pretty much I was like, I'm not running it the way I was doing it before.
Yeah.
And that was huge. But once we got all the data, pretty much my cousin, he took all the data and he put it into like Excel sheet. And that's pretty much what we use to calculate every order and how long it's going to take, how much material we're going to use, and just kind of to help us retain that margin like I was talking about.
Yeah. Do you, I feel like, again, now that we were talking about being older dudes or whatever, I feel like for so long, and even during this podcast time of like the last 5 years, I always fought for the guy to be like, oh, it's culture first, and it's, you know, my shop is free spirited and we do fun shit and we do this and do that. And just like you said, like if I was to actually sit down and look at all the numbers, I would probably cringe at like, oh, I'm spending this on this. And you know what I mean? When you start looking at that stuff, like you think about things differently, but it's also like, I'm afraid to do that in certain degrees because I don't want to like tarnish how I think about like having more of like a fun open place to work. But I do feel like if I could go back in time or talk to a shop that's younger, I would be like, dude, you need to fucking like, you need to do this business guy thing too. Like you can't just be like, oh, we're just going to be this fun place. And I started a business with my friends and it's all going to go well all the time. There would be so many headaches I could have saved myself from if I would have just like done the research and been the business guy and had the rules and had the, you know, the metrics in place. And like you said, figured out how long it took for me to burn a screen or how long it takes for me to do this job, because it's just like you said, it's great to have those to keep people in check of, well, I know this 101 color should take this long. Why did it take you 4X? And
exactly.
They can't just shrug their shoulders. Like, it's like, nah, dude, I know how long this job takes. Why is this happening? Can we sit down and get back to this number of, you know, and say it's an hour instead of 2 hours or something. And if they're like, no, fuck that, I can't, it's going to be 2 hours. Then it's like, all right, well, do I train you or do I just let you go and get somebody that can do it in an hour?
It's you either train them up or you train them out.
Right.
You know, it's
how did that go for you? Did everyone get on board, or did you have to do some tough shit?
Initially, everybody was on board, and I think I would have had to do some tough shit. But what ended up happening is December kind of came around, and work pretty much ended. There was no work. November was already really slow. January was dead. Our February was really dead too. So it was like all the people that were there were like, the morale was already really low. You know, everyone was like, we got to work for real now. It's, you know, and then so eventually there was no work. So it was like, these guys were like, you know, we actually have to go to find some place that has work because we don't know how long it's going to be. And so,
dude, last year was the worst year we've ever had, as far as like, we didn't go down necessarily. It was just so like, with everything we've purchased, everything we put money into, everything we've done, last year was just so flat. Like it was so shitty. And the year before wasn't the greatest either. And I guess I'll be vulnerable and say it, but like, everybody you talk to, every shop like, I could talk to you or I could talk to so and so. The first thing they ask is like, how's the shop doing? And the first thing we always say is good. Everything's great. Like, we're cranking, we're whatever. You just say these like fucking random words to be like, yeah, everything's great. But in reality, when, we could talk about this and be like, well, I'm struggling my ass off. And, the last year and a half, 2 years has been people that normally would order 2,000 pieces are ordering 200 pieces. Or they're not ordering at all. Or, I mean, realistically, we fucking print t-shirts, dude. Like, the marketing budget is the first thing to go when people think there's a recession or think something's going to happen. So I just feel like so many customers clenched their buttholes and like didn't want to order any shirts. And we just kind of sat here and we're like, all right, cool. Just like you said, like just now, like, December hits and it's like, wow, it's slow as shit. And then it's like, what do? Do we lay off the people that we can lay off, or the people who still live at mom and dad's or whatever, or the people that don't need this to feed their kids or something? And then you go through that whole thing. And then, like you said, like you just sit and you wait and you have no idea when it's coming back. You have no idea when work's going to be here. And then when work finally does show up, what do you do? Because you let go of a bunch of people. And then all of a sudden it comes back in a wave and it's like, oh, well, now we need, like, do I hire somebody? Because the biggest fear I have is I'm going to hire somebody and then we're going to be slow next week. And then what do I do with that person? Like we had somebody, I don't love talking about super personal stuff here, but we had somebody where it's like, they had to put in their 2 weeks at the job that they had. And the job that they had was a good job. And they were going to come here. And like, we were sweating of being like, well, what happens if we get them here and then it goes dead again? Like, luckily it's been great, but I'm like, I feel like personally responsible for this person because they just canceled this part of their life to come join ours. And then they're going to get here and I'm going to be like, hey, actually, we're only working 3 days this week because there's nothing to do.
Yeah. I think it's a lot more difficult in your scenario too, because you're in a little more rural part of town.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, I don't know, in the city. And I know it's just different dynamics, because like you said, you got to get somebody to go over to where you're at. And then you don't want to like disappoint with like no hours. Versus like me being in the city, not saying that it is always like this, but I don't know, sometimes jobs are a dime a dozen and sometimes people are like, whatever, I just use this to transition to another job. And in the same respect, sometimes somebody joins our team and then they'll use it as a stepping stone to like, leave. So
you just have a much bigger pool of human beings that can come and go or whatever. Like if you were to fire someone today, you could probably hire someone tomorrow. Like, it's not always that easy, but I'm just saying, like when I put out an application, I get, 40 people and 35 of them are meth heads or something. And it's like, all right, well, I don't have as big of a pool to pull from. I don't know, dude, it's just hard. And like I said, the reality is that when you have a normal year, a normal season, a normal whatever, you have a slower winter, especially for the type of clients that both of us work with. Generally December, January, February are slower, and then it picks up for the summer season. And then like you're cranking through the summer and you're like, cool, I have lots of extra money to put into the bank account. Well, then in the winter, when it's slow, you pull from that, bank account that you stocked up on. But the problem is if you have a flat year, you have no extra bank account. Exactly. And then when December, January, February come, you're like, I have no extra money to pull from. Well, what I did is I pulled from my own personal savings. And I did that thing that business owners have to do is like, sometimes we have to bite the bullet, and that's why it is a risk. That's why it is what it is. It's this thing that we're doing. It's on us to fucking do. Like I'm pulling money out of my personal bank accounts to like pay payroll. And then, like I said, like I'm just waiting it out as a risk of like, all right, well, hopefully spring turns back on and we start making money again. And then I start paying myself back and paying back these reserves and everything else. And I think that's just the reality of it, is like, to go back to, I guess, the theme of what we were talking about is I need to find that balance and do what you did and kind of like do these numbers and figure out like what all these things take so that I can look and be like, all right, well, this is what we need to bring in every week. This is our numbers. This is like, Jeffrey Paul did this thing where it was like, talking about what you make per second, per minute, whatever. And then knowing that number to where like, you know, today it'd be ideal to know what today and this week I need to make and bring in to be profitable, or I'm going to be in the hole next week. And I feel like so many shops don't think of those things. They don't have these numbers. They don't have anything like you did or and me and whatever, where it's like, I just don't know what next week's going to look like. And as long as there's money in the bank, I guess I'm okay. But in reality, we all should know these fucking numbers and be like, oh, this is how you run a business, instead of just being like cool dudes who own a screen printing shop and like, we'll just ride this wave as long as it exists.
Yeah. No, I totally, I totally resonate with what you're saying, because it was like that in January, pretty much dead. February dead. Like didn't pick up till like I felt like April, the end of April.
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah. Normally, I think in my brain, which is always wrong, that it's going to pick up at end of February. Never does. The way I think about it is Atlantic City ISS. I always know that I go to that, and then when I get home, I start to get quotes, and that's like March 20-ish, and I don't think we actually picked up business wise till maybe early to mid-April.
It's exactly how it happened with us too. So, but usually, if I look at my past numbers, I'll realize that like, oh, it picked up in, sometimes I thought it was going to be dead in January. Well, it picked up, you know, mid-January. Cool. You know, sometimes February is still good, you know, but this year I've definitely felt like, oh, all those numbers are kind of like out the door. You know,
they don't
like,
mean anything. Yeah. It's also hard too, because like people look at those numbers. You know, I have a lot of friends who always get in these text groups and they're like, I'm up 33.46% from last year or whatever. I'm like, dude, I have no idea what that is for me. Like, I don't look at that. But also like I did a lot of changes with the shop as far as like efficiencies, and I did a lot of changes with like staffing and this and this. So like, even if last year was this numbers wise, it feels different for me now because we're more efficient and we get things done faster. And now we're still out of stuff to do. Like that doesn't solve my problem. You know what I mean? Like just because I made more money this year than last year, but if I'm way more efficient, I still need work for my people to do. Even though they did things twice as fast, now it's like, cool, well, now I need twice as much work for them to do, or I have to lay people off, which is, it's a good and bad thing. Like if you're just thinking numbers, it's a good thing because you're like, oh, cool, I can run the shop with half the people, which is, I guess, a good thing. But it's also like, all right, well, now what? Now what do we do? Like, how do we get more work in to feed these people, feed these machines, these automations, all these things that we did?
That's where the balance comes in, you know, because like, all right, you fix that end now you got to fix the other end, which is like pumping the work in, you know?
Yeah.
But, I think if you do an analysis of your numbers, Dylan, I think what will happen with due time is that you'll start analyzing your numbers more and more. And then you'll start realizing like, what are the jobs that we want to do? And which ones are the ones that we need to like kick the can, like, fuck these jobs, you know, because they take too much time. They take too much material. Whatever it is, it's a pain in the ass, maybe, whatever. And it's just not worth it. And the hard part is saying like, no, I don't want to take your money to do this job because we need money. You know,
that's what I was going to say. Like, as a friend and as a business owner, we all hear these things of like, well, you should do this, and this is what these numbers mean. But it's like, in reality, do we tell the customer no? Like, do we put our foot down and say this doesn't make sense for us? Because I think the reality in my head is like, I have good customers that 85% of the time are sending us like the stuff that we like to print. It's like, okay, it's under 4 colors, it's vintage, it's this or this. And then every once in a while they have an order that's okay, it's a 6 color front, 12 color back, 4 color sleeve. Like, at what point are you constantly just making exceptions for customers that you like? Or is it just turning down new people that come in and are like, hey, I need gold foil neck tags with a inside out print and then a print across the seam here? And it's like, I don't know. It's hard to be like this is what we do. And then when your customer comes along, you're like, no, we'll do it for them.
I know exactly where you're coming from because that happens to me too. But the hard part, I guess, is just being disciplined enough to know your goals and just to not stray away from that goal. If your goal is to, let's just say, whatever, hit, I'm just going to make up a number, 100,000 a month. And, you'll know, hey, I can't take on this job because it's going to throw a wrench in the schedule and we're not going to hit that number. You know what I mean? That job's going to take all day or 2 days. Like, it's not even worth it. But
well, that's what's funny is like me as the sales guy in the office and whatever, I have this mentality and I get in trouble all the time with like Bill and stuff where it's like, I'll take this job or I'll fight to get this job. And then I give him the numbers, I give him whatever it is. And he's like, this is going to take up like 3 days on the schedule. And I'm like, oh, all right. But then it's always that rush of other orders comes in at the same time where everyone needs everything by Friday. And I already committed to this job. And it's like, well, 3 days for this one press is just this job. Like everything else has to be on hold or we don't do this job at this time. And then it just becomes this whole thing. But again, if I knew my numbers more accurately, then I could be like, well, this realistically takes 3 days. Can I take this or should I take this or should I promise this turnaround when I know it's not actually doable?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a good way to fix that. They gotta put you on the press.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know that. I'm just saying that like, but also to the credit of that, these guys crush. And I think sometimes they don't think, I feel like 9 times out of 10, we'll slate a job on the schedule for like 2-3 days and they'll do it in like a day and a half. And then it's like, I think it's more setting the expectation. Like Bill is very good at that of being like, all right, well, this is what this is going to look like. And then by Thursday or Friday, we've already done the entire week's worth of stuff. And then he can pull from next week. I'd rather see that all day long than like overfill it. And then every week they're like, we're never getting the jobs done today. Everything's always getting pushed to the next day. So I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's like, back to the like soul stuff or whatever is like, I'm trying to toe this line of being super analytical in numbers and like, this is what I have to do, whether it's the kind of person I am or not, just to be a good business person. Or do I kind of toe the line of like, well, I guess let's just let the chips fall where they may sometimes. And then in certain instances, let's like be good business guys. Like, I feel like it needs to be that. Like, it needs to be this kind of both ways sometimes. Because if it was all just hard ass, like, oh, I need to fire this person. I need to tell this person that I can do these screens in a minute, but they're doing them in like a minute 25. Like, do you need to be a hard ass and make sure they get to a minute? Or do you kind of at some point just be like, well, this is a great employee. They have really good personality. They get to work on time. They don't bitch at me. They don't ever call in sick. They're just a good human. But like in reality, they do it in a minute 25 and they just have this kind of day. Like, do you get on them about that? Or do you just kind of let certain things slide? Or you have an employee that's really good and will fucking die for you, but they show up 20 minutes to work every day late. It's like, do you bitch at them every day about making sure they get there on time? Or do you just let the 20 minutes slide because you know they're going to make up for it in a bunch of other ways?
Well, I agree with you that sometimes, like you said, there has to be a balance where, yeah, you can't be a hard ass all the time, but there also has to be this balance where you can't just be a friend all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and here's a little like business like hack for anybody that's paying attention is if you're everybody's best friend at work, you're your own worst enemy.
I mean, I can agree with that.
Right?
But did that affect you with this change?
Well, yeah, for sure. Like I was saying, like before I was just everybody's just best friend. And yeah, it was cool if they were late. And not only that, I was late. You know what I mean? I would be late every day, 30 minutes or whatever. And I wasn't leading by example and I wasn't delegating and I just wasn't being a like smart boss. I was being really dumb, you know, but sometimes you have to kind of like fall flat on your face in order to just get back up and say this, I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this question though, too. Was it just those numbers that made you make all these changes, or was there other things, other factors to be like, nah, dude, I got to fucking figure this shit out?
Well, I definitely was like on a mission to like, I'm going to figure this shit out. I'm going to take the bull by the horns and like, I really need to figure this out. And like I said, it was months of everything. And even pretty much I had to take over all the positions in the shop because the team fell apart by the new year. You know, nobody was going to stay because we didn't know when the work was going to be available. And so when I took over everything, at first my idea was like, well, this is my last ditch effort to make this work. Cause if it doesn't, like, it's going to
like, I don't know what to do. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was like just survival mode. Like, I'm going to make this work and then, hopefully it does. But what I found out after time was that like, not only can I make it work, I can make it run better. I could make it run more efficient. I could have less waste. I started learning so much about my own business that I was like, I never ran it this way. So I never knew. And before it was like, oh, I just like the press operator ran everything. And I was more of just like an assistant, you know, like, made the inks and I did like certain things, but I let them run it how they felt comfortable. And I would never delegate because I was always like, oh, they know how to run it their own way. You know, I'm not going to like go and micromanage. But in hindsight, it was really dumb of me because like now we're twice as fast or even faster and we have less waste. We run things just differently. And now looking back, I should have like stepped in a lot sooner, but I just kind of like was like you, where I was like, I'm going to let the chips fall where they fall. And I don't think it's going to be too bad, but it kind of did end up being not so good.
Yeah. What were some things that you changed? Like what was some hard changes that you guys did to get to that point?
Everything was like little changes at first. And then eventually when we saw like, oh, this works, like let's fully change it, you know? One of the ones that I like a lot is that we stopped using tape. I don't use tape in the shop anymore for like, on the screens.
Did you switch your screen size or did you just do something else differently?
No, I did not switch my screen size. What I did is did
you get a bigger scoop cover?
I had like a pretty good sized one, but
I'm just going to keep guessing until you tell me what it is.
All right, go ahead. Next one.
Go ahead.
All right. What I did was I was trying to fix another problem, which was, I was like, I just need to get more squeegees and flood bars for the press because, sometimes like the next job would be, like in limbo because we had to clean all the squeegees and flood bars and we just didn't have enough for the press.
Right.
And so originally I was like, all right, I'm just going to get more of these. So no matter what the instance is, like we could just switch right away. but I got different squeegees and flood bars that were like, oh, different sizes. And after I did that, I realized something. And that was that if I used the smallest squeegee and flood bar according to the shape of the graphic, that I would pretty much use a lot less material. That was like kind of the first discovery. And, you know, obviously if you're printing a sleeve graphic and you're using a 16-inch squeegee flood bar, you need way more ink than you really are going to need throughout the project.
Especially with water-based, because it's covering the whole screen, and does some of it dry up? And are you, you can't just run a dry squeegee across the screen the entire time.
Exactly. You'll have problems. So once I kind of figured that out, I was like, whoa, now that I have all these squeegees and flood bars, yeah, I fixed that other problem. But I fixed another problem that I didn't even know was there, which was now we make way less ink, and now we don't use any tape because, for example, I don't really print larger than 14 inches wide typically. So, you know, I was like, oh, if I use this 14-inch squeegee and flood bar, like we're good for the most part because it's never going to reach the edges. And we don't build our inks in a way that where they're really low solids, you know, like kind of medium.
So they're just running
solids.
all over the place. Yeah,
exactly.
So is that winged flood bar keeping your ink? Say it's a 14 print or whatever, and you're using a 16-inch squeegee and flood bar. Is that 16-inch keeping the ink within that 16-inch range the entire time? It's not spilling out to the sides at all?
No, I honestly never ever spills on the sides. Like there has been some instances where like I forget to adjust the sensor on the press and it goes too far and it goes like all the way to the top of the frame or whatever. And I'm like, oh fuck, I got some ink where I don't want it. But I usually don't have any problems. And
that's pretty sweet.
And before I was spending like, for example, like $250 to $300 on tape every month, you know? Mm-hmm. And now I'm like, fuck, I haven't bought tape in so long.
Do you think the tape thing is just because of the savings of tape, or you're saving on a bunch of other things too? Like you're saving on reclaim. Like there's not someone that has to sit there and apply tape in the first place. Someone doesn't have to peel the tape off later and then filled weird garbage cans with tape and everything else. I feel like there's so many things. Plus, like earth-wise, like you're not throwing away a shitload of plastic.
Exactly. Yeah. And as I go on with the shop, I'm just realizing like now I'm like, I'm making all this production happen with like very little waste, and I'm not putting plastic out into the world. And in my eyes, I kind of like, that's the glory where I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Right. I'm not like making a bunch of waste in all these different ways.
I don't know why, but that reminded me of yesterday. I went for a walk at the lake, and the lake trail. This is just super like a hippie talk thing. But I went to the lake and I was walking, and there's always a bunch of worms like on the lake trail because they come out of the ground and they try to cross the blacktop and get back, but they always end up just like crispy and fried on the blacktop by like midday. And like on my way back, I just felt like I was like helping the earth, because there was a bunch of worms that you could tell were like bigger trying to get there, and you knew they weren't going to make it in time before the sun hit them. And I just grabbed like a big leaf, and I was like walking the trail, like scooping up worms with a leaf and throwing them in the yard. And it just made me feel like Captain Planet for a minute of like I saved these lives.
Yes, sir. Right on, dude.
It was just funny. Just, you know, stupid shit like that just makes you feel like, oh, I did something.
Oh, shit. That's good. That's good.
Is there, what is the next thing? Is there anything else that kind of like changed a lot, or was there anything, I guess, that people fought back on? And you were like, no, this is my decision. This is what we need to do.
No, I want to say everybody was on board. The people that left, I was glad that happened, because I don't I don't think the
Not right for the
mentality
team
was.
anyway.
Yeah, I don't think the mentality was there. Like the goals, their goals and my goals weren't the same to like fix the shop. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
their goals might have been like, I need to make as much money as possible. I don't really go fuck. But I knew if I stuck with the people that had the same goals, like we would make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you think that all of this, I mean, obviously it's a good thing, but you think it's actually like really going well as far as like changing, like real change in the shop. Like next year's number breakdown at the end should look better.
Oh yeah, for sure. Already this year looks like much better. Like like you mentioned before, the trajectory of the shop is different. So even though this is not necessarily the most banging year for business,
Right.
We're not losing money. We're actually, we're making additions every day. We're not like making subtractions before like we used to be like, oh shit, I don't know. Today, I don't know how it's going to go. Like we might just lose money or we might make something. I don't know. Like, I don't know. It was so different before where now it's like, oh, okay. Now I know I'm going to do these like 5 to 10 jobs today. And no matter what, we're making like this, So
Yeah.
we're in a much better place for sure.
Well, earlier you kind of talked too about like the scales of like, well, if you are improving this side, you need to do something to this side so it catches up.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that like I've done over the last 2.5 years at this point is really focused on outbound and trying to get in new clients and focusing on the kind of clients that we want. Like by the sounds of it, are similar paths and similar customer base and stuff. Are you guys focusing on that stuff too? Or is it just kind of like, well, let's fix the shop and see what happens with everything else?
My cousin in my shop, he works on a lot of outbound and also the inbound, and he works on trying to build up more sales within our own customers already that we have, because that helps a lot too. I listened to the episode with you and Kevin, and that was like a really great episode, by the way. I forget the other guy's name. He was in the episode as well, but it was all really good information and it resonated. And I was kind of like, damn, this is like good stuff and what I'm going through as well.
The thing about that though, too, is like, an episode, and I had to reel it back a bit because I honestly, like Christina told me too, like, you're kind of being mean to Kevin. And I was like, I'm not trying to be mean. Like the hard part is like, Kevin's a real good dude, like real good human being. And he also has a job. Like his job is to talk to screen printers and get them on the right path and do this and this. And he has to, he markets in a way or whatever. And it's like, I was trying to be the printer side of that conversation of like, well, what is the reality here? And it's like what me and you were just talking about. We could say all day long, we should do this, but like, do we actually put it into practice? And with that whole outbound thing, it was like, all right, well, we can say make 5 phone calls and do this and have all these touch points and whatever, but like, do half of them work? Should we be focusing on this? Do I hire someone for $120,000 a year to like just do outbound? And like, it's like half of that shit didn't make sense to me. Like, it was like, all right, well, let's figure out a way to get this to work in our own feel and spirit and whatever. And I feel like once we actually did that and set up realistic expectations for ourselves, it started to work. Like, I didn't want to have this like high expectation of like, if you do this, they will come, basically, which is kind of the theme of the episode. And it's like, I don't feel like that's super the reality.
Yeah. And I understand where you're coming from too, because Kevin, even though like great dude, you know what I mean? And he knows what he's talking about, but every industry is different. And sometimes like, I don't know, it's hard to believe it all sometimes coming from our industry, cause we're cut of like a different cloth in a way that, it's hard to just believe all the sales stuff, you know?
I feel like the hard part is that it's so personal for most. I mean, it's got to be personal for any business owner in any sense. But it's like I had a conversation the other day with Christina where I told her there's this client that I'm working on that I've put more into than I've put into a customer in a long time. Like a lot of money, a lot of effort. You know, I've hired freelancers without getting paid a dime from this place. I don't even have their business yet. But I'm like hiring freelancers to come up with like pitch ideas for designs and all these things, because if it was to land, it would be a really awesome client and like we could do really cool stuff for them. And I'm like going out of my way of like ordering samples, printing samples, like getting designs done, all these other things. And I'm like, and I delivered it. You know what I mean? I was like, here's the pitches, here's the whatever. And I'm just nervous as shit to get that rejection of like, yeah, this is all cool, but like we're not that they wouldn't like it, but that some people get so comfortable in what they're doing that they're just like, I don't feel like fucking with this right now. We're just going to keep doing what we're doing, even though we could do better or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I know you have to deal with this, but it's like, it's kind of soul crushing to like put all this time and effort into stuff like this and have them just be like, meh, like, we'll just keep going with who we're going with. And it's like, it just makes you be like, well, cool. Do I just go get kicked in the dick with the next person? Like it unmotivates you to do these things. And it's just like some of these sales tactics are like, we'll get on the phone, do this. It's like, I don't want to sit there and just get railed over and over in the face with rejection constantly. Like I would rather sit down and be like, these are my people. You know what I mean? Like you have your clients that are your people and you can talk to them and you can make real change for them. Like, I don't want to just go out into the world and just like hit up a bunch of people who aren't my people and just have them say no to me all day long.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm sure you already have done this, but like, why don't you just try to find more of like your people? You know what I mean?
Well, that's like, what I'm saying. Like this place that I'm trying to get as a customer are my people. And like, I know we can do stuff for them. It's just, I'll paint the picture of it's a massive company. It's rated like one of the best in the US or whatever, but they're nearby to me. So anyway, I have a friend who works there. I went there, met with them, saw their merch, all this other stuff. And 95% of their merch is just their logo on the front of the shirt. Like, there's not a lot of fun stuff. It's just like standard logos on stuff. Almost all their shirts are like MV Sport and like their hoodie, like all, it's just like basic shit. It's like we could make cool designs that, you know, change, like give people more of a vibe or whatever. Or picture this, like someone travels to this place, hangs out for the day, buys a shirt, comes back 6 months later, a month later, a year later, whatever. They're not going to buy another shirt because they already own that same one. Like you guys never change anything up. I sat down with the guy and I was like, dude, I'm going to be straight with you. Like, I want your business because I want your money. Like I want to print a lot of stuff for you, but like in turn, I will show you how to sell way more merch to make you way more money than I'm making. Like that's the goal here. Like I want to print your shirts, but I want to make you way more fucking money. Like I'm not just trying to come to you and be like, pay me. Like,
yeah, you want this to work out.
Right. Like I'm bringing the value. So that whole thing to me was like, again, like I went back to the shop after that and was like, all right, I'm going to make all these pitches. I'm going to do this thing and just be like, hey, pick from 1 through 10 or pick all 10. And like, let's just do this. Let's see what happens. Yeah. And, you know, it's a lot of time. It's a lot of effort, but I think it'll really pay off.
It will. Like it definitely will. But what I think also you can do is just build more of a relationship with them. You know what I mean? Like I know that sounds like, oh, duh. Like, you know, but if I
agree with you because I agreed to do like a live print with them, which was the one I did this last weekend there. And it was our first time there doing a live print and everything else. So again, like it was cool to be there, have fun with them. Like do the whole thing. So again, I did feel like I was there building more of a relationship. So I'm doing the things that you're saying. They're one example. I'm just saying in general, that's more what I'm focusing on. And to go back to the Kevin thing is like, I want to do more personal down to earth relationships with clients instead of this just like mass net that I feel like our industry is after all the time now. Is like, well, I want to get onto the print on demand. I want to get onto the DTF and DTG. And like, I just want to make a quick, like if someone wants one shirt, I want to make the most buck on this one shirt. I want to like do this whole thing. It's like, I want to chill out. I want the clients who are just doing fun shit that I want to do. And they're like, hey, I need 200 of this. I need 100 of this. And my next drop's going to be in 2 weeks and I want to do this. Like, that's what I want to do, which is, I feel like kind of what you guys do too. Like having certain clients and doing just like rad shit for them. I don't ever see Squeegee Prints being like, oh, I need 2 shirts and you're like, oh, I'm just going to run it this way or whatever to make the $40 or something you're going to do. Like, yeah. What's the philosophy for you guys on stuff like that?
I think a lot of it is just staying true to what you believe. And I know it sounds corny as hell, but like, for example, I love screen printing. I hate DTF, like I'm not going to, blow smoke up everyone's ass and be like, you know what, you need this DTF bullshit. Because it would make me $1, but in the end of the day, it's going to tarnish the relationship because they're not going to trust us or whatever it is. And I think just like staying true to like your ideas and what you believe. I know it sounds corny, but
it doesn't at all. It doesn't at all sound corny. I'm just torn because the truth is like, I genuinely love all things print in this industry and all the mediums. I love certain prints that are DTG, like seeing people do something that's really cool that can't be done necessarily with screen printing, or, going to a show and seeing Corneats do like lenticular printing on this like crazy thing. And you're like, oh, that's super awesome. And then seeing DTF and you're like, all right, well, I don't love the quality of this. I don't love whatever, screen printing's better, all this and that. But then when I start getting clients that I like and trust asking for it, I'm like, well, fuck, like I'm not selling them at this point. They're asking for it. Like, and I want to do this like comic book cover that they want to do. That's this crazy 48 color thing. I need to figure out how to do this DTF thing. And I want this DTF thing to be the best possible DTF thing that they want. Yeah. So that's how I feel about the whole thing is like, I don't want to sell it to make a buck constantly. But what I want to do is have all these things and have the knowledge on these things to where if I have a customer I like and respect, I can show them the right tool. Or like, hey, we could do this. This is really cool. Or they come with like a design and they're like, they're a designer and they're like, well, I got it down to 6 color or something. You're like, why'd you get it down? We can print 12 colors on the gauntlet or whatever. They're like, well, I know we're screen printing and this and this. I'm like, and then they'll be like, I had this really cool idea that I want to do this thing, but it's not printable. And it sucks to hear that they have a vision or something they want to produce, but they just can't because they think it's undoable. But now I have a tool that's like, well, we can make this. Like I could totally do a photo of your grandma's face on the front of this shirt. Like, you know what I mean? Like we could screen print it, but we could do it this way and then it works. So I don't know. I'm torn like with you. Like I love the craft. I love getting down to like printing it and mixing inks and playing with pressures and squeegees and like getting it to print just right and all that stuff. But I also like seeing a customer's face light up when you made something rad for them that they couldn't get done before. So I'm really torn. Like, I don't know, what to do with all of these things. I just try to educate myself on all of them as much as possible, which is nonstop.
And I get where you're coming from because, I'm in the, same exact business. And so sometimes people do ask me for the transfer or whatever. And like what you said, it's a tool, but in the same respect, it's like a double-edged sword. Yeah, you can use it as a tool, but you could also cut yourself. So you just want to make sure
I've had that too.
Exactly. So you just want to make sure like, hey, you're in the clear. And if your client does want a DTF, whatever, yeah, you could maybe use the best DTF transfer for their project, and it'll, you know, it'll come out what they want, but just also, hey, you know, this isn't screen printed. I can't guarantee that you're going to love it like you love, you know, all of our screen printed stuff that we've made for you. So they just have to understand that, and then you can deliver on what they want as well. You know what I mean?
I think that is the biggest thing. And I think a lot of people are taking advantage of these things to get a cheaper, faster product out by not letting the customer know like how this is actually printed. And I see it all the time with like bootlegs, which you can't, I guess I'm naive for thinking I should trust a bootleg place anyway. But I'm just saying, like, I see all this stuff. For a good example, I always see these like Sauron or Lord of the Rings like shirts online, and I'm like, fuck, that would be, I want that shirt. That looks awesome. But I know full well it's printed on some like M&O cheap shirt, and it's DTF or DTG or something, and I'm going to get it and I'm going to hate it. Yeah. And it's like, but they don't say anything. They don't say how it's printed. It's just buy t-shirt. And it's like, that's what I don't want for my customer. I want to be upfront with them. I don't want to just be like, they're like, print shirt. And we're like, we will print shirt. And then we give it back to them without explaining, hey, we wanted to do this in discharge, or we wanted to do this in, you know, plastisol, or we wanted to do this in DTG or DTF. Like, I want to tell them that, and tell them that like the wash fastness of this and this, so that they do know and have an expectation. I'll never take a customer's order and just do DTF without telling them that it's DTF. I don't want to sell it as screen printing, and then they just get it and they're like, what the hell is this?
Yeah. And I understand where you're coming from. Like, I'm the same way. And I'm not trying to say DTF is always bad, because there's some instances where somebody wants something printed and it's just not screen printable. Like what you're talking about. Maybe it's on a backpack or something. It's just like, we're not going to screen print this shit, you know? And or whatever. But the DTF is great for that. So it has its purpose in the industry. It's just that I personally believe it doesn't belong on t-shirts, because we wear them and they're loose fitting and all this stuff. Just, I don't know. But like I said, it has its place in the industry. It's just that I'm sure all the print on demand companies are like, fuck yeah. You know, we got this DTF shit. We don't have to tell people how it's made. Just send it out. Fuck it, you know? And like, that's great for their business, but I think it's going to reflect in the long term, and people are going to be like, you know what? I'm tired of going to these print on demand companies that are just giving me shit.
It's just helping us screen printers.
And the end of the day, it's going to help our industry. We might not see it today, or we might not see it tomorrow, but maybe a year from now, we'll see what the saturation in the industry brought, you know?
The hard part is I'm not trying to be in this conversation with you and fight for the digital people, but I see these things all the time and I hear this, whatever. And it's like, the hard part for an industry like say DTF or whatever is that, or DTG for that example, is, so many people find it a cheap, fast way to get into it. And then they do it, but they don't necessarily do it the right way. And they just push it. And there's so many people that went out and bought a DTF printer and now like make shirts and say they make shirts, but they don't put into account of like thinking of negative space, or they learn these like Photoshop techniques or tricks or whatever to make it have a better feel, or halftone this edge out, or do this thing, or they just print shit where there's like this like glue edge on everything, or white's poking out or whatever, and it floods the market with all of these get rich quick things, and then it puts a bad taste in everybody's mouth, because the number of people that just do it quick and dirty outweigh the people who like take the time to figure all these things out. And it's like, we went to like 20 DTF places and tested a bunch of them, and tested a ton of different ways to do it. Like, I'll take one design and I'll send it to 6 places, get them all back, and then I'll press each one and be like, well, why are all 6 of these different? You know what I mean? Or like, okay, well, let's do a halftone or a line on this or do a thing here. And then I'll look and be like, well, with this printer, half of these lines didn't hold because they didn't put down enough glue, or on these ones, it was way softer because they did it a different way. And it's like, there's so many different ways to do it. But people just get it bad from the one place and they're like, well, I'll never touch DTF again. Or I'll never, like, someone does a bad pre-treat job on a DTG thing and they're like, well, I'm never getting DTG again. It's the same with screen printing. Some Joe Bob in his basement could print a shirt where he pulled the squeegee 35 times to get a white to look bright. And then he cured it in his fucking mom's oven. And then they're like, well, I'm not going to do this like white, whatever screen printing, where they go to Squeegee Prints and it's this like beautiful, bright white discharge that feels would never even know it existed on the shirt if you were blind. Like, there's a big difference. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to like fight for these people, but I just feel like the people who are really trying to learn the craft and better it are getting the shit end of the deal when there is a good way to go about it. But it's just hitting the market so fast and hard that it's giving it a bad name to a degree.
Yeah.
Sorry, Juan. This is my job. Okay, this is my job as the host to level the, be non-biased.
No, I agree with you, but since I'm on the show, I'm also going to level the playing field here.
Yeah, fight me back.
No, okay, so I agree with you that the saturation and all this like shit is kind of giving everything a bad name.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's going to make what we do and what we focus on better and better.
I agree fully with that. Yeah.
Because after time, what we were talking about is the saturation and all this shit product. So people are going to be like, you know what? I need to go back to like, I like this.
And they'll pay a premium for it.
Good. Yeah, exactly. And the part that's interesting is like DTF isn't always really cheap. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you could go to places to get it for less, but it's still, it adds up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And if you're doing these big DTF sheets or whatever, like screen printed is cheaper, but it's interesting to bring something into the market.
2 to 10 times longer. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Way longer. But, what I was saying is interesting is like, if Joe Bob is over here selling fucking screen, transfers for, $6 for a big sheet, why wouldn't somebody pay $5 for that print? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've been charging fucking $3. Like, what are we doing here? So like even though it is something kind of like different in the decorative apparel industry, it's only, I think, going to bring up screen printing up more. It's going to make it more valuable.
And I think to a point with that is there's the printers like you and me and a bunch of other people we know that are in it for the craft. They know what they're doing. They're trying to constantly learn and evolve and be better printers and not necessarily out chasing the buck constantly. We're going to be the ones that live out to be the printers that people will come back to when the shit goes south. And the ones who are out there just constantly trying to make a buck are going to be the ones that get washed away. I always think about it like almost like the vinyl industry of like, vinyl is the old school way of listening to music or whatever, but it's like the people who love it will pay for it and they'll keep it and they'll have it. And like, it's a booming thing again. Like people love it and will go back to it. And they're like, I like to hold and feel the texture on this and whatever. Cause they want like the vinyl, cause they want the jacket on the inside and they want to be able to hang it on their wall. They want to be able to whatever. I feel like it's going to be the same with a screen printed t-shirt of like, yeah, this is screen printed. Like someone made all these inks and mixed this and figured out pressures and like blended this face to get it to look this way. Like the story behind it is going to be just as important as the design that they put on it because it means something to them and they'll pay for it. There's always going to be those people. And then there's always going to be these trash people that are just like, I just need it now and I'll pay I will only pay $5 for it or something. It's like, well, those aren't my people.
Yeah, there's different markets for everything. And as you go on, I'm sure like, we figure all this stuff out, but it's like the food industry, like, yeah, there may be a place that will sell you fucking a burger for $2, $3, value menu, bullshit. But then there'll be a place that'll sell you the same thing, way better quality, but it'll be like 15, $20. And everything from the preparation to like how it is at the very end, like matters at the end, like this place might have used a microwavable chef mic, and then this people over here might be using fresh ground beef that they ground every day. And it's like, it's just a different process.
That cow lived in their house and had a name and,
Exactly. But it's the same thing at the end of the day, a burger, but it's just the process is different. And at the end of the day, like I'm the kind of guy that I rather go spend $10, $20 to, for something good than to pay for something really shit that I'm going to be unsatisfied with. And then I'm just going to go out and buy more food because I was unsatisfied, instantly and pay double or whatever.
I think the moral to this story is just kind of like we need to, and even to circle back to the life thing, is like we need to just evaluate like what is meaningful to us and what is it want to be, and that's just the cost of whatever it is. Like that's the cost of living, that's the cost of our lifestyle, that's the it's the whatever. Let's figure out our numbers. Let's make sure our shops are profitable and can be around for forever, and it suits our needs and it pays our bills and it allows us to go skateboard or fucking write music or travel or whatever the hell it is we want to do and just keep doing it. Like we don't have to fight constantly for this fucking rat race thing of like, I got to have this many square feet or this many presses or this many whatever. Just fucking do. Like I'm happy. Like I'm happy printing what I'm printing as long as it's working and things are going well and I'm being the boss I should be, which is I guess half the battle for me. Is I'm probably 75% friend, 25% boss.
Well, that's what you got to work on is just your discipline. And I know it sounds corny as fuck on some like,
it's
influencer.
Not corny. It's just hard to swallow.
It's because it always is hard to take. But to be honest, like those are the little things that like that matter, bro. Like you were saying earlier, like, 80% of the jobs I take in, they're great, they're perfect. And then like all of a sudden there's other 20% that is just going to throw a wrench in the schedule. It's going to hold up the press for days. It's going to make everyone, kind of miserable for a little bit because of this and that, whatever. It's like, why don't you just take on a little bit less of that and maybe start with, because, you're not going to get disciplined right away. You're not going to be like, wake up one day and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to run a marathon.
The funny thing is it's only really hard for, this sounds terrible, but it's only really hard for a little bit because once you get, and that's something I found with the business stuff I have been doing over the last couple of years. Like I am on my way to do that. When I talk to you about this, it makes me seem like I'm just this fucking willy-nilly whatever. But like in reality, I have a lot of things figured out and I'll give myself some credit with a lot of this stuff. But I've noticed over the last like 5 years or so of like doing the expectation with employee or the handbook stuff or the setting the boundaries and rules at the beginning and all these other things is actually the more that you do that stuff, the less you have to be this like bossy boss person. Like if you set the expectation in the beginning and you say like, okay, like say this person was a new hire in the darkroom and you're like, hey, I've done this job. These are our expectations. It should be 1 minute to make a screen. Like, once you set that expectation there, you shouldn't have to be this boss person that comes in and kicks the door in all the time and is like, we need to be at 1 minute. It should be like, well, if you're not doing it in a minute, you're doing it 2 minutes. You have that conversation with them once or twice. After that, it's like you said, it's like you put it a different way, but like it's you change and develop and be with us, or you don't work here anymore. Like you basically are firing yourself at that point. Like if you can't get it to where we need it to be, then I didn't do anything wrong. It's you're just not living up to what we need you to do. So the more of that stuff that gets put into place and gets like concrete and written down is so much easier.
Yep. And it also helps when people like are ready for their raise, and want to get bumped up. It's like a good way to kind of graph where they're at and be like, okay, well, are you maintaining the standard, or are you better than, a minute because you figured out, hey, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to like shave 10 seconds off each one. Like, are you improving? And if so, then like, yeah, maybe you do deserve it, or, you know what I mean? Like it's a better way to make those types of analysis, because
I love
other than like, oh, it's been 6 months. Yeah. Here's 50 cents or a dollar, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like,
I love when that stuff is it's not a feelings conversation. You know what I mean? Like if someone comes in as like you said, like I want to raise, I've been here 6 months or whatever. And it's like, well, you just say no and they walk out. It's easier to be like, well, no, because let me pull up your file, fucking clickety click. And then it's like, well, you've been gone 10 out of the 30 days this month. Like you called in sick. And also like, you've been at 3 minutes a screen all month when we're supposed to be at 1 minute a screen and this and that and the other thing. Then you can be like, well, I'm not making the decision. This fucking graph right here is making the decision of like, you're not where you need to be at. Why am I paying you more to lose money? Like I'm actually losing money by having you do this job. Like
exactly. And that's even good for a boss to be analyzing, because is it worth it? Because you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you could get somebody else to do something at the standard if somebody's doing it below standard. You know what I mean?
It's also a way for you to look at it too and be like, well, there's this new technology or there's this new automation machine. Like I could cut this job out completely. Not that you need to fire that person. You just put that person in another role. Like, all right, well, we manually clean screens at 3 minutes, and you look at this thing and like, all right, well, at 3 minutes of pay and this, it's like, well, I'm paying X amount of dollars to clean X amount of screens all year long. Then you start looking at auto reclaims and you're like, well, the ROI on that's going to be a year, and then I'm going to make money after that. Like
exactly.
Now I'm not having that person do that thing because I have real numbers that show me I can afford this piece of equipment and get the same amount of payroll, but get more shit done because they're doing a whole nother task now.
Yep.
And quality of life and everything else.
Yep. After I automated and got the press, I slowly started to automate the rest of the shop, like the dark room, and we got a blue water. We got a couple other things, so I started to automate everything, because I know a lot of shops, sometimes they will kind of like reach the ceiling, I guess you can say. And they start thinking like, oh, okay, like I'm making t-shirts every, I don't know, let's just say every 10 seconds. I'm making a t-shirt. How do I scale this up? They'll be like, oh, okay, I need 2 more presses, 2 more dryers, and X, Y, and Z. And then we'll be able to make this much, And I feel like that is sort of the road to failure.
Oh, for sure.
In the long run.
There's so many things you can automate before that. And that's what I'm trying to say with the last like X amount of years or whatever, is like, it seems slow to us, but it's not necessarily slow. It's that we're getting stuff done way faster because we keep like buying equipment and automating things to where it's like so say 3 years or 2 years ago or whatever, we have X amount of work. Well, we could be like all year, be like, oh man, we were busy and we had X amount of work, same numbers, same whatever. If I bought equipment and automated things and made things better and took that exact same amount of work and brought it over to this year is going to feel slow as shit because even though we had the same amount of work, we did it in a half the time. Now you're like, well, we're twiddling our thumbs. Why are we so slow? Why is it dead? Why is it whatever? And it's like, it's not. We can do things way faster now. And now I need to like build up the sales to get it to back to where everyone's got full 40-hour work weeks. And then you do that, and then you get new automations and whatever. And it's like, you can keep the same amount of people and produce more product if you just keep automating things and making people's lives easier.
Yeah.
Then you're going to just get more shit done.
Yeah. I love the way you said that. It was like a good way of saying like, what you're doing is when you start automating the rest of the shop, it's like you're raising the ceiling because you haven't like hit that point where it's like, oh, okay, I can't be any faster. I need to scale. No, right. Because if you fix the bottlenecks in your dark room or in your reclaim or in other parts of the shop, it will help you raise the ceiling in its own way. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, now we're way faster because X, Y, and Z. Now we could take on double the amount of work because we're twice as fast. The ceiling is twice as tall now. You know?
Well, it's just like, think about your person in your, screen room or whatever, and you're paying that same person to be there for the 8-hour day. Well, you figure out a way to automate or make it faster where they don't have to use tape. Okay, well, now that they don't have to spend an hour or half hour or whatever taping up all the screens for the day, and then they don't have to spend another 20 minutes or whatever detaping before they run stuff through the blue water. Okay, well, with that same person in that same hour day, they're imaging 16 to 20 more screens in the same day with the same amount of pay. Because you automated that thing, you're getting more profit in that day than you were before, and you're not paying any extra in payroll because they're getting more shit done in the same day. But that employee also doesn't feel like instead of automating, you were just like, I need this much output out of you, whatever. They're going to have to work twice as hard to get to the same number that you want them to get to. So like, we keep automating to make their lives easier, but it's also, we're freeing ourselves up to make more profit and things. And I feel like that's just the way that I want to go. Is I want to keep, say I have 12 employees. I want to keep 12 employees, but find out how to maximize the amount of shirts that we can print and do in a day comfortably where everyone's happy, but we're making the most profit with the machines that we have. Like, I don't want to be that guy who's talking about profit all the time, but in reality, I own a fucking business and I want it to be as profitable as possible, but have everybody also be happy and be able to make a better, bigger wage and whatever else. And it's like, that's what I want. I don't want a bigger building. I don't want more presses. I don't want more employees. I just want to maximize what we have in a efficient / comfortable way. Like, I want to find that line. And that's the goal. I want to be that shop who you walk into and you're like, wow, it's super nice in here. It's really clean. And all your equipment is like state of the art, like amazing. Like, it's crazy that you have this, like, and you're printing really great quality stuff. Like, that is my goal. Like, that is my, okay, I have achieved what I want to do. And I don't know. I feel like I'm working towards that, but also real life comes around and kicks you in the fucking dick every once in a while.
It's a work in progress, bro. It never ends. Like, what do but we just get better at it, dude. You know what I mean?
Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we got into the shop hack-ish stuff?
Nah, you said it the best. Like, automating the shop and just making those automations around everything will lead to more productivity and more profitability over time, and just making sure that you manage everything in a way that is not stupid. Pretty much.
I do want to say, like, in all sincerity, before I get into this other stuff, like I said, like, I've always loved talking to you and loved like seeing the stuff that you guys make, and just chatting with you here and there, but also like just seeing what you guys are doing. But then to sit down with you today and hear that we had very similar struggles with things, and we were both like open and talking about it, and then also to hear that you put things into place to make it better and you're not just living in that, like, is really encouraging, and like makes me feel like better about what I was thinking about. I just need to like maybe do what you did and sit down and like go through all these numbers. So I appreciate you being like open and honest about that stuff.
Bro, of course. Yeah. And like I said, it takes time, and I know you're working on it, but like, you know, you don't wake up one day and you're like, I'm ready to run the marathon. You know what I mean? You
do
have to,
I'm going to do it all tomorrow.
Right. But it starts more like waking up and saying, I'm going to take a walk around the block. You know, it's like these like little steps that eventually you grow stronger, and then, yeah, you'll be ready for the fucking marathon. And, you know, it's just sometimes the way we look at it is that we're doing like a sprint race, but it's a marathon. So you can't just like gas yourself out.
Yeah. And this is a whole nother topic. We don't need to get into it. It's just like, I feel these things. I hear these things. I have a list of like 30 other things that are like that I'm in the process of working on. And I'll get to the shop today, and then something will break, something will happen, something will whatever. And then it screws my whole day. And then I'll be like, oh, I'll do that tomorrow. Whatever. So again, whatever. It's real life. It is what it is. This is what it's like to own a screen printing shop and just deal with it all at the same time.
Yeah, you got to roll with the punches.
Yep. All right. You mentioned a shop hack earlier in the episode of like buying the different squeegee and flood bar sizes to save on tape. So
that was like kind of like the most ingenious one that I kind of like, I felt like, whoa, I figured some shit out. And I'm sure a lot of people, I know Night Owls and some other people, like they've already figured that out. It's like the same.
But you did it on your own. You reinvented the wheel by yourself.
Yeah. I didn't get bigger screen. I know Night Owls did that. They did bigger screen, you know?
I know a bunch of people that do that. That's basically the thing, is to just get a 25-36, and you're just never gonna reach that on the outside. Or I've seen, that's why my second guess was people get a wider scoop coater, and then they're coating most of the screen so that they have that extra gap on the side instead of changing the squeegee and flood bar every time. But
I will say that I really like the hack that Evergood dropped. Is his name Jeff?
Jeff, yeah.
Yeah, Jeff. I hate.
What was it? Just wrong. Because I'm blanking right now on what it was that he said.
It was like use rulers or tape or whatever to block off.
For the emulsion for coating.
Yes, dude. I started doing that after he dropped that one, and it was fucking the best. Because that was like the part that would kind of be the hardest at the very end to clean the screen.
Yeah, for sure.
And now it's like, oh, I don't even deal with that shit.
So basically what he said was, for the people listening, was that he has taped off on the exposure unit, correct? Like rulers or something to block it out. So when he puts the screen, like you coat a screen, you end up with these beads of extra emulsion on the sides that when you go to blow it out, that's the last thing that's there, because it's thicker emulsion, it's hardened, it's whatever. But if you mark those off when you expose the screen and then you go to wash the screen out, those don't expose and they'll wash out with the image. So then all you're left with is the same EOM across, and there's no thick hard spots on the sides. So when you go to reclaim, there is no difficult areas. It's just the main rectangle or whatever. So that was the hack. And it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, much easier to wash out.
Yeah, I do know people that go around that too, with just having like a scraper in the darkroom that after every one that they coat, they'll just hit the sides real quick and scrape off the excess. But I feel like it's a little more of a messy approach than just blowing it out in the washout booth. So
I used to do that.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, I used to do that, what you're saying, like kind of just scrape the excess off, but it just takes longer, and
it's messier, and another tool you have to clean and everything else. Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
All right, next question, which you didn't get in the last time that we did this, is greatest shop fail to date.
Oof. Fuck. Greatest shop fail.
Not that you want to relive it.
I felt like the shop fail that I had this past year was pretty extreme. I've been running the business for like freaking over 15 years. And I'm like, what the hell? We're like losing money. But,
well, I mean, embarrassingly, that's why I said, like, I'll be the vulnerable one here of like, I've never really done it either, but I have the thing I have over most people, why I probably haven't like failed or anything with this yet, is I own everything. Like I own the building outright. I own all my equipment outright. Like I have little to no overhead. So like if I don't have an awesome month, who gives a fuck? Like the only expense I have that is a pain in the ass for me is payroll. Like I don't have to be like, oh my God, I need $15,000 this month for rent or I'm going to get kicked out. I don't have that. So I have been able to be more chill and lax with certain things. So I can get away with like it more. But the reality is I should do it. I just haven't yet. So you're motivating me to go about it a different way and add it to my list of things I need to get done.
Right. But I do have another shop, Phil. I just remember right now. One time I was training one of the employees to like use the auto, and I was like trying to show them, and I learned this after that you don't do this, but I was kind of putting the screen in place, and I was like, yeah, go ahead and lock it in, and they got my thumb, dude. And fuck, that was so painful. I'm pretty sure I broke like the tip of my thumb. And I like almost fainted because it was so much pain that I was like,
I had an employee here do that once. He did the exact same thing. I think he was holding the screen and locked it and then just left his thumb in. And he came in the office and his thumb was completely black, like already like blood under the nail, whatever. It hasn't happened to me, thank God, knocking on wood, but
yeah, I know. Right?
Well, that's the thing I get by sitting in the office is I don't have to worry about crushed thumbs. Dude, I don't know if you listened to it or not, but the episode with OSHA that I did with the guy from Printing United, that was fucking scary. Like we basically just talked about people losing limbs the entire episode.
Damn.
And
he
was like
one of my
people, 80 people a year in the US or something like that. Have an amputation from screen printing. And he said X amount of deaths too. And I was like, Jesus, like there's so many we don't hear about.
When all the javelins out there just fucking taking people out.
The people that still have the precision ovals that are getting crushed inside the press.
Just crushing.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. They're just, they're doing so good.
Yeah.
All right. Couple quick takes. What shirt has your shop printed that you're the most proud of? The hell is that? You have chickens?
I got chickens, bro. Yeah, you can hear them. That's so funny. Yep, I got them this spring, and that's another part of the life hack. You got to get chickens.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that or not. At some point, I'll get to the point where I need chickens, but not right now.
Yeah, it's my hedge against inflation. I'm always doing some work for one of our clients. His name is Adam Hawthorne, Honky Kong, and he's always...
I love Honky Kong stuff.
Yeah, dude. He's always sending us really cool stuff and really cool projects that, like it's like Pink Panther smoking a big fat joint, or I don't know. It's just like all these cool different things that, it's not AI or it's not some weird art. And I feel like we're constantly printing that kind of stuff. It's hard to say like, this is my favorite, but there's so many incredible clients. You could just
say that you're excited to work with the kind of clients that you want to work with, and it makes the job rewarding, I guess.
And another thing I guess I want to say is that, like, I guess nowadays I'm living my dreams from my youth, like where I can't even pick like the best shirt that I printed because like we're doing it every other month or whatever, printing really cool shit that I don't know, it might top the last one, and it's hard to keep track, but
that's a flex for sure. That I'm
yeah.
constantly printing rad shit. Yeah, that's awesome.
The cool shit niche.
That's what I'm in. If you could snap your fingers and change one major thing about your shop, what would it be?
Oh, that one's tough. I don't know if it would be the
laser, bigger press?
computer to screen to laser to screen, or if it would be the press. I love my press, and I love like the circumstances in the shop, everything I have going. It's not that I regret anything, but like if I could.
Yeah, but if you could change out your, what is it, a Diamondback?
Yeah.
For a Gauntlet 4 or a new Cobra or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I would do that. I would do that. Or even then, I have been like really interested in all the MHM presses. It's not that I think like it's superior than M&R or any other press. I just like the pin system that they use.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. It just, the idea of like, oh, I never have to bust out this tri-lock and do another 4-color or whatever it is, you know, like it just seems like we would save a lot of time. Yeah. And not saying I would save up all the time, you know, I just, these like little things that help push the needle forward.
Again, I have all blue and I love the M&R stuff and whatever, but like I go see at shows like the G4 and I'm like, this is it. This is the fucking biggest, baddest fucking thing. And I really want one, especially now with like the new like tri-lock system and the pallet arm that they have for that and stuff. Like I just want to trade everything out for that.
Yeah.
But you know,
you have a G3, right?
I have a G3, yeah. And then now there's the G4 that has like all the new bells and whistles on it.
But would you use all the bells and whistles?
It's just like they changed things to make things. It's not, if you were to look at it from a G3 to a G4, unless you used it every day, you would be like, oh, this is close to the same thing. But now there's like all these like membrane switches instead of like, you know, toggle switches, and there's, you know, the registration system on it, or there's a bunch of things that have changed. And it's just like, it's like going from, you know, a MacBook that you've used for the last 7 years to buying a brand new MacBook. And you're like, oh, they got this thing now, and this thing now, and this thing now. And you're like, but it's still a MacBook. It's just a better MacBook.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah,
like, no, sometimes those kind of improvements like really make the world of a difference. And sometimes they like, it's like, oh yeah, you got a new MacBook. You're doing the same fucking
I feel like
that you always.
Yeah. Well, MacBook, I feel like is a better example than a new iPhone, because I feel like it's the exact same thing over and over again. They're not even changing anything.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, last question. Top 4 favorite movies of all time.
Top 4. Damn, I thought top 1 was going to be hard. Top 4.
Well, I do 4 because people's are wild. I've noticed, I love asking this question because it tells a lot about the person. But like someone will be like, yeah, my number 1 movie of all time is like Terminator. And then the second one will be like, oh, it's The Notebook. And you're like, dude, those are 2 totally different vibes, but it explains you as a human being. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, then in that case, first one's going to be Fright Night. I don't know if you know what that is.
I'm not expected that at all.
All right, cool. Fright Night. Second one I'm going to do is going to be Goodfellas.
Hell yeah.
Good pick. Third one I'm going to say is fucking John Q. And fourth one is The Notebook.
Dude, I jokingly said The Notebook, but I love that shit. I cried. I legit cried when first time I watched Notebook.
I love that one.
Well, Juan, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for doing this with me. it sucks it took so long to get you on for the second time, but I'm glad that the amount of time lapsed and the things that happened to you got you to where you are now, and we got to talk about it. So thank you, and I appreciate you, dude, and just keep fucking doing awesome shit. And the next time I'm out your way, I am coming by.
All right,
So we're
please,
hanging
I'm
out.
holding you to it.
I hope you do, because I want to, so I will be there.
We got to go to dinner.
Yes. It can't be a cheap burger. It's got to be an expensive burger now
hell
after
no.
this conversation.
Oh, we're eating steaks, baby.
Hell yeah. Tomahawks all day long.
Oh yeah.